Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, but also how we're going to fix it together. And the content that I've got to show you right now is something that's incredibly nuanced. It is an active threat against our Second Amendment, and it's coming from 22 states who have signed on to an amicus brief, which is going to further push their narrative. Now, this is incredibly key to understand because this has the same shades of the Rahimi case. I'm going to walk through the entire thing. You need to be aware of this one, and please send this one out. And of course, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on because, guys, I'll be honest with you, YouTube's cutting people again. So make sure you are not getting victimized by the big green YouTube algorithm monster. But let me show you this real quick because this is really, really key. This is coming from New York Attorney General. And as you guys know, New York Attorney General, this woman right here, Letitia James, yeah, she kind of crazy. By the way, you know what else is crazy? Not having protections from red flag laws and from incidents if you actually have to use your firearm, of which someone like this would actually prosecute you for enabling your freedom and protection and Second Amendment rights. And then you would have amazing training if only there was a service that did just that. It's called USCCA. There's a link right down there in the description box. Check it out. It covers you on red flag laws, covers you on training, covers you with lawyers, also covers you if you have to have a use of force incident. It's something that at least you need to be aware of, and there's a link right down there. And thank you guys for checking that out as they make this content possible. But let me get into this, guys, because this right here, like I said in the introduction, this has extreme shades of the Rahimi case. And if you guys are familiar with the Rahimi case, it's a case where a convicted felon, a convicted drug user, an attempted murderer, an overall bad guy was using guns in an inappropriate way, and it ended up at the Supreme Court. Now, again, not litigating that again. What I'm saying, that's the very high level from a gun control perspective, okay? They came down and they got the ruling that they wanted on this because they were pushing, in my opinion, a case and a plaintiff that was not going to be sympathetic to the court. And I think a lot of you would agree. And of course, like in the comments field right down there, let me know. But let me show you what they're doing here because we have something else that we've got to be aware of because I have a feeling we're going to see this again. This has to do with getting guns being transferred in from out of state into state and being purchased outside of their precious FFL system, which is a de facto background check universal registry. That's the entire point, okay? Let me lay this out for you. New York Attorney General Letitia James is leading a coalition of 22 attorneys general in support of common sense state and federal laws that regulate the sale of guns. AG James and the coalition filed the amicus brief in the U.S. versus Stephen Perez. We're going to come to that. That's the court, arguing that federal laws preventing individuals from transporting or receiving firearms from outside the state in which they reside, except through an FFL dealer, are essential to protecting public safety. That language is incredibly important. It's essential to public safety. They want to keep it in the FFL system. You can't transport it over state lines. So if you were to, say, buy something from an online auction site, can you no longer have that shipped into your state? You see where this is going, right? But let me continue because there's some really important things you need to see about this, and you can tell me if I'm onto something. That's the red. I'm going to kind of keep it hidden for a second. This is a quote from the Attorney General of New York City, or New York. States and the federal government should be allowed to enforce basic regulations about who can buy and sell guns to ensure they don't end up in the wrong hands to protect our communities, said A.G. James. We know that these common sense laws work and have prevented people from illegally obtaining firearms that could pose a significant threat to others. My office will continue to do everything in our power to stop senseless gun violence, and that includes supporting common sense gun regulations on the sale of guns because these laws save lives. No, they do not. It's not at all. It's complete control. But this is the exact same person who swore that she was going to destroy the NRA. She used her office in a political fashion to wage a war against the NRA and is trying to destroy them. She said she was going to do it when she campaigned as the AG of New York. This is an extremely biased and extremely partisan person who is trying to destroy the Second Amendment. Sensitive places, hatred against the Bruin decision. This is not a rational, constitutional Bill of Rights respecting person. This is the reality that I want. I'm going to utilize the weapon of my office to do just that. But, again, you all know who that is. As you go into this, understand what they're saying. Lawful gun owners, right? It's going to prevent criminals, right? All the same talking points. Here's the case that they're referencing, and this is why you need to be aware of it and concerned. It's the red right here. In 2020, Stephen Perez received illegally purchased weapons from an unlicensed firearms dealer in South Carolina that were transported to him in New York City. Mr. Perez was later arrested, criminally prosecuted, convicted, and sentenced to prison in New York. Mr. Perez is appealing his conviction that was handed down in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York, claiming that it violates his Second Amendment right to carry a firearm. So, here's effectively what this translates out to. And again, the language that we just read was directly from the AG perspective, the gun control perspective. Unlicensed dealers, that's someone that sold a gun person to person, peer to peer. Okay? That's their language, not mine. He was arrested for having a gun in New York City with outside of registration and licensure. Again, their process, not mine. But listen to what they're saying, because their entire point here is, well, it's going to stop criminals from getting guns, and it's going to keep everything off the street, and everyone's going to be so safe. Hello? It was received an illegally purchased weapon from an unlicensed firearm dealer in South Carolina. It's a personal sale. That's what they're referencing. An unauthorized, unlicensed person. That's what they're going. This is building off of the the Bipartisan Safe Communities Act. Who is and who is not considered a dealer. That is what this is about. It's a much bigger fight. And the reason that this is concerning to me is obviously New York City and New York and the AGs and these other 22 states, of which I'm going to show you in a second, are off base on this. But what's concerning is if this continues and you're in the Second Circuit Court and you get a friendly appeal and you get your ruling that you want as the Attorney General of New York, the next step is the gun rights person has the right to appeal to the SCOTUS. SCOTUS takes this, you're looking at another Rahimi situation. In their mindset, not mine, in their mindset. So you're opening up the door, which is what they want. This is why they signed on to the 22 states. This is why the AGs did this. They're setting up the fight to where they might get to SCOTUS and they might get a favorable ruling in the same light as the Rahimi case. You know how the Rahimi case was manipulated and said, oh, the right wants domestic abusers to have guns all the time? The exact same thing is going to happen here. Oh, the right wants unlicensed dealers, guns for everywhere, guns on every street corner. That's part of the gun lobby. That's exactly where they're going to go on this. That's why I'm telling you this. That's why I'm covering it from this angle. This is not about what's actually happening in this moment. It's the broader play. That's what we cover on this channel, the broader play and pushing our rights forward. Now, listen to this last piece and then I'll show you the states. A.G. James and the Multi-State Coalition argue that federal regulations on the transport of guns across state lines protect public safety, fortify state gun laws, and do not infringe on Second Amendment rights. Okay, well, we know that's a bunch of BS. Of course it infringes on the Second Amendment rights. Let me show you the states. Some of these might be a surprise. California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, North Carolina, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Vermont, Washington, Wisconsin, and the District of Columbia. Now, there's three here that are really important. These are swing states. You've got Wisconsin, you've got North Carolina, and you have, what was the other one? Wisconsin, North Carolina, and there's one more. Well, Michigan's definitely one, but that's not the one I was talking about. It doesn't matter. Nevada is technically as well. The point is, these are swing states, and some of these are majority red states that have red senators, and they have a lot of red representation. This is because the Democratic governors appointed the Attorney General. Like, this is their administration. This is what we're talking about here. In some cases, they're elected. In some cases, they're appointed. But the deal that we're having here is you've got a 22-state, multi-state coalition that is coming out and saying you can't get guns from overstate from unlicensed dealers, which is a personal sale. So if you live in South Carolina and you want to sell something to your brother or sister or cousin that lives in North Carolina, now all of a sudden you're an unlicensed dealer and they're going to get arrested because they didn't go through the FFL system. They are slowly using an anaconda tactic to strangle out the Second Amendment rights and the commerce around that right. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.